Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Patricia Monna Intuitive Consulting. This is predictions for the month of October 2024. I have my lovely monthly guest, Susan Reynolds, with me. Thank you so much for joining me again. I,
My pleasure.
I absolutely love doing this with you because it's a mark. We're putting it out there. This is what we're predicting. And some of my predictions I've come to pass. And then there was the big one about Trudeau, where I said June 2024. And he's not, I think he is out because now the government is pushing for the non-confidence vote that is supposed to be happening this week.
Okay.
Yeah. However, I do believe important by-election that the Liberals lost in June, and it was June 20th. And I even said right around between the 20th to the 24th is when I saw something big happening for him, where he's losing his footing. And I truly believe it is just downhill from here for that man. He's such a narcissist though, that he will hang on with every last breath that's in him. And I think that it will have to take the rest of the government in order to have that non-confidence vote and get him out of there because he's just not getting the hint. He really is not. He's so out of touch with Canadians. It's not even funny. So I'm still kind of hanging on to that one and just watching what goes down this week. Because I still feel like that man, when he leaves, he's going to be doing it with his tail between his legs. So we'll see. We'll see what's coming on. I'm kind of surprised that he's back in Parliament, to be honest
Uh,
with you.
I'm like you. I'm surprised he's still in power. I am. When I pick him up intuitively, I see him like those old vaudeville shows where the person's dragged off the stage with the hook around the neck.
Yeah.
That's what I see when I meditate on him, when I close my eyes and see him. It's like he's that hook's gonna have to drag him away because he's just gonna stay on stage as long as he can. But I'm also gonna say, if I remember correctly, and I may not, but I think Trudeau is a Capricorn. And as we're going into October, especially the first 3 weeks of October, we're going into Libra season. And both Libra and Capricorn are cardinal signs of leadership. But the way this Libra energy is going to come out in Trudeau's chart, it's right up there at the top of his chart, meaning his profession, his leadership, his authority. I think there are going to be some challenges to that in October. I'm not clear enough about Canadian politics to know how they do this, but this may be when he gets like the no confidence vote or other coalitions come together to remove him. I think he's going to be seeing some changes he doesn't like much in October. It does not feel like a good month for him.
Well, what's interesting, here was the other thing that happened over the summer. So, in order for the Liberal government to have the power that they did, where they can just pass through whatever they want, because when they got voted in the second time, it was a minority government where basically they can't pass anything. So that's when they did the NDP Liberal coalition. Well, Jagmeet Singh just ripped up that coalition this summer. Yes, he ripped it up. So I was firmly waiting for the announcement. He's out. Well, because of what happened in June. Well, it's I just can't believe how strong he's trying to hold on to his throne, because now even the NDP are like, okay, enough is enough. But the crazy thing is, he's now talking about a new coalition with Le Bloc, or the Quebec Party. And I'm sure it's just back table discussions on how they can pass through whatever they want, if they do get in bed with the Liberals. But this is how bad it is that they're jumping from party to party to try and make sure that the Conservatives do not have a say. And it's just, so we're just going to still have to kind of wait it out, see what's going on if the Le Bloc party actually falls for that. But I think it's pretty disgusting because there really should be the non-confidence vote. Canada has had it with the Trudeau government. And they got to
A
start
lot of
listening.
other governments have had it with the Trudeau government as well.
It's embarrassing. And actually, Trudeau went on the Stephen
Colbert.
Colbert show, And oh my God, what an idiot. I watched that and I just laughed because the amount of corruption that is around this guy and the way he just breezes through interviews. Stephen Colbert asked him at one point, "So why did you leave teaching?" And he goes, "Oh, I signed an NDA, meaning non-disclosure agreement." And it's like, yeah, no, you signed a non-disclosure agreement because you were screwing around with a 14-year-old girl and you got caught. And her family sued him, and he had to pay the family millions of dollars and sign a non-disclosure agreement. And that's why he left teaching, was because he was caught in a relationship with a 14-year-old girl student that he was teaching. So that's why he actually left teaching. So it's very interesting to see how he can spin the narrative on and totally deflect truth. But I definitely think that truth is coming out. So one of the predictions that I did make back in April of this year, because I have my little notes that I try to keep together. So it's like, oh, what did I say back then? What's going on? Did I hit the nail on the head? Well, the P-Diddy arrest. Let's talk about that. I talked about in April, I said that eclipse on April 8th, it's going to bring all the things hidden will come to light. And I talked about the sex trafficking. I don't even know if that's a trigger word maybe on YouTube, but so I got to be careful with the words I use. But and all of the really nasty, dark stuff that HollyWeird covers up on a regular basis. And I talked about P. Diddy and what would happen and that there would be arrests. But the thing is that I think half of Hollywood is going down with him because he has a lot of blackmail on a lot of very important people or people that they think they're important. And I think that they're going to go down. I think that this guy hopefully will talk to try and lessen his own term. But I got to say this. Did you know that he's being held in the same jail as Jeffrey Epstein? So let's see if he miraculously, is unalived, and then goes undercover. I don't know, but I don't believe the whole Epstein monologue either. So let's see how this goes down because he's on suicide watch. Well, so was Epstein. So I don't know, but I think that there's a lot of them that are going to go down, like Jay-Z and Beyonce. They're as evil as it gets, honest to God. Madonna, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Oprah Winfrey, for all of the people who grew up watching the Oprah Winfrey show and thought that this woman was a wonderful human being. Sorry, but you're guilty by association. Look at Harvey Weinstein. Look at Jay-Z. Look at P. Diddy. Same thing with Ellen DeGeneres. When she's openly talking about going to his parties and his freak off parties and being invited, Jennifer Lopez, they're all in hot water. And from what I understand, they've even went and deleted a lot of their posts on Instagram, on Twitter, on what are they trying to hide now? You know what I mean? Now that the FBI is involved. So I think that there's going to be a lot coming out of Hollywood. But the thing is, remember I also talked about Next Level Hollywood, about the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing? And I was like, no, that's a distraction. That is literally, it's Next Level Hollywood. It's a different type of show that they are now feeding us. Well, this P. Diddy thing is going to be Next Level Hollywood, where it's shoving it in your face. Look what's happening over here, but don't look over here. Well, in the meantime, while we're distracted with this week with the P. Diddy stuff, did you hear about 23andMe? BlackRock bought out 23andMe, and all of the executives, all the top level executives in 23andMe all stepped down. So what's going on there? Because there should be, and I'm sure there will be, because it's America, a big class action lawsuit for the data breach that happened with 23andMe. So if you are one of the people like me that gave their DNA away, looking to know your heritage, well, that's one big, I believe, government data bank. where now they know your genetic codes. They know everyone who came before you, everyone who's attached to you or related to you. And believe it or not, in the fine print, they can actually use it against you in a court of law.
Yeah.
They can use it against you in a court of law. And so that's what I actually think that big data bank is about. It's about getting to know the origins of humanity. And now next level, because what if this gets into the wrong hands, which it already sounds like it is, how can they use that as a bioweapon against us? We got to think further here, right? Because we know that everything in the known universe has its own vibrational unique frequency. No two frequencies are exactly the same, right? Every single person emits their own vibrational frequency based on everything from their attitude, their likes, their dislikes, their DNA, what they ate for dinner. All of that will depict the energy that's flowing through you, right? Since no two people are alike, no two energetic signatures are alike, and that's what they're after. They're after your energetic signature, because once they know they have it, they can do anything with it. You can heal with it, but you can also destroy with it. All it takes is that exact vibrational frequency for that one person, to target that one person, and that one person becomes ill or passes away or meets a nasty fate with a disease that that no one knows what it is, because it's a bioweapon. And I think that's going to be next level targeting. But I don't want to say that to scare anyone. I pray that it's never in our timeline or our or in our reality, but it makes you think, why did they want this so bad? And why is everybody stepping down? And why is this happening when they're trying to bombard us with this next level Hollywood show, right? So we have to become hyper aware, not to put people on pedestals. They will fall. It's happening in Hollywood for all those people that were, worshiping Jennifer Lopez and Madonna and Katy Perry, and even all of these Swifties, Taylor Swift people, that like her music. Stop and realize who they actually are, right? What they're emanating, what they're doing, because what's on stage is not how they're living. So just heads up that I think there's going to be a lot more arrests, and I pray that we do hear about it, and I pray that justice is served. And I think that the light is winning, and we need to win this fight. Stuff like this has to come up so that we know what we're dealing with in this world. It's easy to turn a blind eye when you don't, and especially if you don't know it's happening. So I just think that there's going to be a lot more coming out of Hollywood than ever before over these next months.
Well, I agree with you. I'm gonna back up for a minute, and I'm gonna mention, when Patricia and I are picking something up intuitively, one of the most challenging aspects of working as a psychic or with your intuition is the timing, because I can see pictures in my head, I can feel the energy, and when you're looking at something like this, it's like it's right there, like you just know it's right there in front of you, and you're talking about it. But as it plays out, it may play out over months and months and months. It may play out well into next year. So we're saying this is here, and it is for us in our head. But we have to be patient and understand the timing of sort of regular earthly get up, go to work, pick up something for dinner and do carpooling, maybe on a different timeline. For people who work intuitively, professionally, it's very frustrating. I'll just say it's very frustrating, because you think it's supposed to be there already. Like, did I get that wrong? Why isn't it here? But when you're looking at a much lower physical level of how things play out, things slow down. It's like it goes from water running to syrup running. It's thick, it's heavier, it's slower. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but it does mean we have to be more patient. When I heard about the arrest of P-Diddy and the FBI and all this, the first thought, the first words that came into my mind, oh, he is so screwed, because for them to get to the point for the FBI to get to the point of arresting him,
They haven't.
I'm going to tell you they have that case locked 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah.
They have records. They have videotape. They have eyewitness statements. They have everything they need before they ever make a move.
Yeah.
They did not arrest him prematurely and then go, oh, what did we do? We don't have the evidence.
Mhm.
They have very methodically been building this case for years. I'm going to say for years.
Yeah.
His arrest is the last piece of that. Now, this is just for entertainment because Patricia and I don't have any special knowledge of anything. This is just for fun. We're taking a look. Usually when we talk, Patricia and I talk once a month. What's going on in September? What's going on in October? So we're sort of spreading this out a little bit because the situation with P-Diddy is not going to be just for September or just for October. I know he is in this facility. I think it's in Brooklyn in New York, which is not well thought of. This is not a pleasant place to be. We'll just put it like that. But it is the only federal, if I understand this, place that they can place him. Like it's not part of New York State. These are federal crimes that he's being charged with. So they have no choice. He can't say, well, this prison sucks. I want that prison. This is the only place he can be.
Wow.
When I pick up his energy, he's scared and he's trying to negotiate for his life and his future.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is real. I'm just saying this is what I'm picking up. This is what I get, is that he's trying to negotiate. Well, I've got this film of so-and-so, where he may be trying to negotiate that with the feds. Like, what do you call it when they're trying to deal down? It's I've got information about somebody else and lower myself. I think he's trying to do that. I do not think this is going to work at all. They have too much on him. His little, so-and-so did something wrong and I've got film there. Like they couldn't care less. So he's effed. I'm not going to say anything else like that. He's in a world of hurt. And I see this becoming more active, becoming stronger, becoming more part of our everyday conversation in 2025. It's like the next few months feel like it's negotiation, offer, counter offer, backroom stuff. This didn't work. That it's not until 2025 that I feel like this heats up and blows things open. I don't know much. I'm old. I'm in my 70s. I do not know a lot about hip hop or the music industry. I grew up the Beatles. Remember the age group you're talking to. But what I see in my mind is lots of people in the music industry, in the hip hop, scared the bejesus out of them. Not only are they doing what I see you doing, like deleting posts and things like that, I see them like destroying records and trying to sanitize things. And some of them, I think, are probably contacting the feds in an effort to make their own deal. I'll testify for you if you give me a pass. And I think the feds are just going to add that to the case. Yeah. So even people that I think he would normally trust may not be his friend. He's in a very isolated place right now, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally, very isolated place right now. Yeah. This is going to, I agree with you 100%. It's going to cascade. And the next layer is going to open up and the next layer is going to open up. And that's how I see it, like a snowball rolling downhill, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Because each one of these people may say, oh, and I know something about this one. And what about that one? And then they're gonna have to explore this. So yeah, this is not something that's going away. It is gonna rock the music industry. And I agree with you 100%, Patricia, when you say, like their music, enjoy their music, sing the song in the car if you want to, but do not necessarily put them on a pedestal. Don't think because they say, I eat this candy bar, that candy bar has some sort of, no calories in it because so-and-so eats it and looks great. We have to not lose sight of making our own decisions. Yeah. And what sounds right to ourselves. There are times I will hear famous, well-known, well-respected people say something on television, and I'll be like, that's a flat out lie. Like it'll just hit me. Sadly, people in Canada, people in the US, we are lied to on a daily basis by our government, by Hollywood, by the music industry. The populace is considered more of a commodity. I hope I'm wrong about that, but that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure that we're in charge of our life. Not somebody else going out and saying, do this or do that, or buy this or buy that. Just stop and say, does that feel right to me?
Yeah.
If you get that feeling of like, why are we supposed to do that? That's a question. Start to listen to that. Because all of us are bombarded with news streams and information coming at us, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and the computer, and, my head just starts to spin. And, I don't even work with 90% of them, and my head spins.
Yeah.
And we're getting our information in 60-second bites because that's all our attention span has been trained to take care of. So see if you can go deeper into something. If something doesn't sound right to you, start to dig into this. Start to look, is this a conspiracy theory? Is this real? How much weight should I give this? But make those decisions for yourself. Don't let somebody take that away from you.
Absolutely. And I think moving into the fall, we really need to get back in touch with who we are at the core of our being, because I noticed the energy of the summer was very outward about other people and hanging out and, enjoying the summer. But now that the fall is coming and it's pumpkin spice season and warm, fuzzy sweater season, while it's 28 degrees here today. So not quite there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're literally a week away from October, not even. So we're going to be feeling that need to come back to cocoon, to be able to figure out the inner stuff again. And I know for a lot of people, it feels like this year was a turning point, that a number one year. I saw that in a bunch of my readings, where a lot of people that were vibrating with the sevens, that every 7 years they turn over, but really a chapter in someone's life can be 7 to 10 years. But for all the sevens that were switching over this year back to a number one, it's a time of creation. It's a time to go within. This winter, this fall and winter is an excellent time to go, okay, what do I want to create next year moving forward? And to get into that state of plugged in and downloading, where do ideas come from? Up here. Up in the ethers, right? And when we're in divine alignment, those ideas become inspiration, and the inspiration to bring it forward into the 3D. So I think it's time to really get back to ourselves and align with what it is that we want to create, because we're 3 months away from not even 2 months away from starting all over again in January. So I think it is an important manifestation period that we're going into in October, November, December, that if we do start, doing the homework on what we want to see manifested, and, if we do have this wonderful business idea, start doing the homework on how we can bring it to fruition next year, we're going to actually see the wheels turning, and what we're going to produce, it'll come to fruition a lot quicker than what we realize, because of the type of energy that we're in right now. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. Because next year, astrologically, we have 4 planets all moving into new energies, moving into new signs. Jupiter's going to move into a new sign. Saturn's going to move into a new sign. Uranus is going to move into a new sign. Neptune's going to move into a new sign. So that's a lot of new energy. Those are energies we have to adapt to. We have to work with that. But when we start to take control and say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, we get to use those energies as tools to help us, instead of sort of being blindsided, like, what happened? What the heck was that? So here's where we start looking at that. On October 2nd, which is right around the corner, like a week away, we have a solar eclipse happening on October 2nd. We kick off the month of October with the solar eclipse, and it is going to be at 10 degrees Libra. And as you've heard me say so many times, I know you're sick of hearing me say this, but I say it every time there's an eclipse. Eclipses act as astrological wormholes. And I say that because they take us from one reality to a different reality in the blink of an eye. It can happen very quickly. But the results and the effects of an eclipse can play out in our lives for up to 6 months after the eclipse. So mark your calendar for 6 months after October 2nd. This eclipse is going to be in Libra. And as you said and articulated very well, eclipses tend to reveal things. They tend to illuminate that which has been hidden, that which has been underground. And of course, Libras are about romance, but they're also about partnerships. Who do you partner with? In some ways, we partner with our friends. We partner with our children. We partner with our family. In other ways, we partner with our next door neighbor, our community. So issues around all kinds of partnerships are going to be right there in front of you. Who do you want to partner with? What do you have to give to that partnership? What do you need in return? This eclipse is going to illuminate that for you. You may have been in a partnership that you know doesn't serve you well, but at the same time, you don't really want to do anything about it. And it just kind of limps along. You know, if you've ever been in that kind of a situation, this eclipse comes in and nobody's limping anymore. Action gets taken.
Yeah.
This can be going forward in a relationship you're excited about that you want to move into and take to the next level. So there can be engagements, there can be weddings, there can be new love, very exciting stuff, all that pitter patter, my heart's just beating and butterflies in the stomach kind of stuff. Who doesn't love that? But at the same time, this can also be looking at what kind of partnerships have sort of served their purpose and they're done, and we need to let go.
Isn't Libra also the sign of fairness and justice?
Balance. The scales are the symbol for Libra. How do you balance? How do you equate things? How do you look at how is it win-win for everybody? You know, Libra, one of those things that Libra sometimes struggles with are making decisions. Libra is an air sign. They're very articulate, very smart, but they love taking information. They love asking for advice. So they ask, well, what should I do about this love situation? And you talk to them for 2 hours. And then the next day they ask the mailman the same question. Yeah. And you're like, was I just talking for nothing? So those scales can go up and down, up and down, up and down. And sort of putting your money down on one decision and going with it can be a little challenging. If possible, you might want to decide on a decision while the eclipse is happening, but put it into practice after the energy of that has passed. The energy of the eclipse usually lasts for 3 days before. So what's 3 days before October 2nd? That would be like, what, September 30th? To 3 days after, which would be the 5th of October.
Yeah.
So that period in there is when this eclipse will be strongest for you. If you have planets that are near 10 degrees, you can feel this even stronger.
Wow.
Because even if it's not in Libra, if you have your sun at 11 degrees Aries, you know, this eclipse is going to hit you a little stronger than maybe a lot of other people because those degrees are so close. So if you have a chart or if you know your chart, and, you know, my friends, they love me talking about astrology. I say, well, do you remember what degree? And they just give me that look like, you got to be kidding me. You know,
I don't remember anything.
Yeah, they don't know, they don't care, you know. But if you have a chart and you like to look at it, look up and see if you have anything near 10 degrees Libra, because there may be issues about negotiation. There may be issues about what is pretty, what is beautiful. You know, Venus, which is the ruling planet of Libra, they have an association with money and finance. So questions about, can we afford this, may come up. Oh, I found the most beautiful couch and it's perfect and it's the right size and it's on sale. Yeah, but it's still $800 more than we budgeted for.
Yeah.
You know, so you may have to, well, if we don't do this, we can afford this. There can be negotiation. There can be, and I'm talking about even negotiation within yourself. well, I love it, but do I want to spend that much money? Is it worth it? You're going to be looking at the value of things. What kind of value does this bring to me? Is
Mm,
this worth it?
yeah,
Those are questions that are going to come up. And to some degree, only you can answer them.
yeah.
That's a question between you and you. I'm also going to say right at the beginning of October, like I think it's around October 5th, we have the moon and Venus coming together. And of course, the moon is often our home, our family. And Venus again is beautiful things, love, harmony. Maybe your sister-in-law needs some financial help. And you're like, well, I've already helped you twice.
Hmm.
And family's like, well, think of the family. Family helps each other. And you may be like, how come I'm always the one digging into my pocketbook?
Yeah.
So it's not a bad energy. But again, you have to look at how am I spending? How am I saving? The moon and Venus together can be very impulsive. I want it. I like it. Here's my credit card. Keep the receipts. I'm just going to tell you, keep the receipts. Don't unpackage. Don't use it. Just wait a few days till after this energy passes, then take another look at it. And if you still love it and still want it, unpack it and enjoy. But it may be like, what was I thinking? I got to return this. That was too much money. This can be more eating. This can be more drinking. This can be more partying, having a good time. We
Yeah.
want to play hooky. We may take a day off from work just because. It's like, I'm just sick of that place and I'm taking the day off. I don't know if they call
Yeah.
it this in Canada, but in the United States, we call it a mental health day when you just cannot go into the office one more
I have
day.
heard of that. I've heard of that. I have heard of mental health days. I thank God I love my job. I don't need them, but I have heard of that term before. Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that. So, and you just stay home and I don't know, watch Netflix and drink wine, go shopping, go to the movies. We want to indulge ourselves when the moon and Venus are together. We want to be good to ourselves. It can be a lovely, very generous kind of time. You're the one having dinner. Oh, let me pick up the check. So it's just for a few days. So I'm going to say enjoy it within
Mhm.
reason. Don't book first class, Concord airfare around the world or something. That wouldn't even go on my credit card, let me tell you. But, just look at it with a little balance,
Yeah.
enjoy yourself, because I think we all need to be good to ourselves every once in a while. It's a time to stop and smell the roses,
Mhm.
just because you deserve it.
All of what you described has that kind of cocooning energy to it, coming within, having those deeper thoughts, figuring things out for yourself, finding that balance, and how do we do that? By pulling away from the crowd. And that was the other thing too. I think that for a lot of empaths out there, you're gonna feel a lot more touchy and sensitive over these next few months because it does feel like when we call upon the light of God, it's going to pour in. When we call upon our angels to merge with our field of energy so that we can feel their strength and protection and their information, boom, it'll happen. And I just think that as much as there is darkness out there, the light is pouring in. So if we take that time, within that cocoon, we take that time to really connect with our higher selves and connect with our spirit team, that the answers are just going to come a lot more simple. But with that energy comes also the sensitivities, right? So I noticed, I just got back from doing my psychic awareness retreat in September
Yes.
15th to the 20th. It was amazing. I had the
I
greatest
saw the post. It looked fabulous.
ever. And there was 5 ladies that went and got 1111 tattoos. My son got an 11 tattoo. I would have, but I already have one. And it was just that good that we got tattoos to commemorate the retreat. It was so good. And but while we were there, so my husband, my son, and I, we stayed for a couple days afterwards in Phoenix, and did a little bit shopping and went out. It was his birthday during that time, and so we took him out for drinks at this iconic nosedive of a bar called the Rusty Spur in Scottsdale, and it was packed in there. And the first thing I noticed was me going, and feeling like, oh God, get me out of here, get me out of here. There's too much. It's just too much. And so I was in and out, in and out, in and out. And I didn't want to be rude to the group by saying, let's get out of here, people. Like there's too much energy. I can't even breathe in here. But I really did notice that, the energies just felt so much more potent off of everybody. So for all of the sensitive empaths out there, definitely double up on your protection and the stuff. Maybe you're wearing, you're using your jewelry as a tool. That's what I do with all of my Kate King jewelry. It's all vibrational jewelry and they all do different things. So depending on the day that I'm looking to have, I'll wear the jewelry that I want to reflect. And so if you're like me and you use your jewelry as a form of protection or connection, start putting on the protective gemstones and start, asking for that extra layer of protection. Just because as we move into this time, it's right touchy with a lot of people, and that was just generalized energy. Well, as we move in to your guys' election and stuff, what's happening up in here in Canada, it's gonna get more fiery because the narrative, they want us to pit us against them. They want that division, that we saw so clearly in 2020. It's an energy. And the government knows that, if we keep people fighting, we keep people separate, they can't come together and overthrow. You know what I mean? And I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying there's more of us than there is of them.
I agree with you 100%. In the months ahead. Now, I know this is an American holiday, but in November we have Thanksgiving, and December we have Christmas. We're going into New Year's. We're going into what I call holiday season.
Yes.
Halloween is, I don't know if you guys celebrate Halloween. Halloween is the end of October. So these are all social activities, Halloween parties, Christmas parties, Thanksgiving family gatherings. And let me tell you, even if you love your family, sometimes sitting at that table at Thanksgiving with your family, you're like, God, give me strength because I'm going to say something. So we could be triggered even by the people we love, and we could be triggered accidentally. Nobody meant anything by it, but we're like, I need to go for a walk, So make sure you're surrounding yourself with light. I do not think we protect ourselves enough, even on a daily basis. When you're going into a grocery store, when you go into the mall, when you're sitting in your office with 22 other people sitting this close to you, we need that circle of light. We need that protection because our worlds can be challenging and complicated. And if everybody was sitting there throwing up love and light, peace on earth, this would be great. We'd all be uplifted. But that is not what people are throwing off. People are throwing off, I wonder if I'm going to lose my job. And is the company going to downsize? Oh, I need a new car. And where's the money coming from? And, is that kid ever going to pass math? We have our worries, our concerns, our challenges, and this is what we're throwing off. And so you can go through the grocery store, and as you're going through each aisle, picking up your cereal or milk or water, you're also picking up the refuse of other people's emotions you're throwing off.
Absolutely.
So make sure you're protected. You do not have to be a professional empath to need to protect your energy field.
Yeah. And it's super important because it just feels like even on a spiritual scale, these next few months can be the most amazing, connective, oh my God, moments, filled with the light that's pouring in. However, it can also cause a lot of static because energy doesn't know good or bad. It's coming in no matter what you want to call it. It's how we use it that matters the most. So for some people, this static or this higher, I don't know, energy that is coming in, it can cause people to feel very anxious, feel like they can't sleep, or they can't think straight. They walk into, the kitchen, can't remember what the heck they went in there for. It can create that kind of static in the field if they don't understand how to work with it, right? But for the people who know, okay, I can feel it coming on, I'm going to find my center, I'm going to, schedule in a meditation in the morning or before bed, I'm going to protect my energy. It can also be used to manifest the greatest invention, the greatest idea that is needed in your life. So, but I think that we need to become the observers. We have to remember not to feed into it, but to sit and observe and allow it to work through us in a positive way. It's when we don't and we don't know what's going on that causes the confusion, that causes the, I don't know, collapse. Even in our physical body, if we're overworked and we're constantly feeding into that anxiety and fear, you're gonna get sicker. You're gonna have, those conditions where you just feel like you can't even get out of bed. You've been hit by a truck, panic attacks, all of that stuff. And I know that there is a really bad bacterial infection, lung infection that's going on in right now that's hitting a lot of people that I know. Thank God, knock on wood, still haven't been sick since way before the pandemic. But still, it's out there. So for anybody who is seeing that and seeing that a lot of people are getting sick around you, what I have done continuously to make sure that I am not feeding into that, it's not getting into me, is I will sit, I will meditate, I will breathe in the Creator's golden light into every single cell of my body. I'll see it, like liquid pouring into every organ, every muscle, every tissue, every fiber of my being. And then what I visualize is me opening up the pores on my body and pushing that light out into my field, cleansing my auric field from the inside out, pushing it out and creating an auric shield out of my auric field. And it works because if you think about it, pathogens and viruses, they're out here and they've got to come in through your auric field to get into your body in order to wreak havoc. Well, if you've got that shield up, nothing is getting through to you. And I can tell by looking at people, because I can see auric fields, I can tell who does that and who doesn't. I can even see a prayer. A prayer in action is one of the most beautiful things I could ever witness. It literally looks like a golden glow coming from here, and it just moves all throughout the body and into the field. And then it's like waves, almost like heat waves that emanate from their body. And so I could see a prayer in action. So I know that this stuff works for anybody who can see auric fields. Ask someone to say a prayer, and then watch how everything, including their light around them, changes. It's quite fascinating to watch. So I know this stuff works. People can say, oh, mind over matter. Well, hey, I still haven't gotten sick and I'm not planning on it. So I'm going to do my defense mechanisms every day because, hey, it seems to be working.
This is how we live our lives. When you bring this in every day, it makes a difference. Mm-hmm. Depression, anxiety, grief, this opens up our auric field. Yeah. And I remember after my mom died and I was in so much grief, in like the 6 months after she died, I kept having one accident after the other, weird stuff happening to me. And I had to go to the doctor about it. And she said, this is what happens when people are grieving. Yeah, like modern medicine is aware. It opens up something. It is not just an emotion. Our emotions are tied to our body and our physical well-being.
Absolutely.
I'll also tell you 2 planets are shifting and changing direction this month. So again, October is going to be a busy month. We have Jupiter on October 9th, I think, going retrograde. Now, I love the planet Jupiter. Jupiter's bright and sunny and happy, and they're like, oh, let's party, and isn't there a pony in here somewhere kind of planet,
Yeah.
So what's not to like? But it's going to turn retrograde on October 9th, and it's going to stay retrograde until February. Wow. So some of the areas of our life that deal with Jupiter may slow down. Jupiter has a very strong propensity for education. So you may be debating, should I sign up for this class? Maybe I should wait till next year. Or maybe something slows down. That teacher, professor I wanted, it doesn't look like they're going to do that. You may be interested in putting together material to offer a class. And you're like, no, I think I'm going to wait with this. Some things might just slow down. They don't stop, but they move more slowly. So we have to be more patient. Jupiter loves to travel. It's a sign of the world, of international things. So if we're doing any international travel, we may run into a few boo-boos or a few snafus, or, oh, they lost my luggage, or the plane was 2 hours late, or, this kind of thing. I'm leaving in a few days to go to Florida to visit a friend, and I just got a notice from the airline, we had to change your flights. Your flight's not going to leave here, it's going to leave here. Now, luckily, it wasn't too big a thing, but I just smiled. Okay, they're dealing with this retrograde energy early. Some of you may already be starting to sense this. People don't coordinate as well for travel. Travel plans allow extra time. This isn't a bad energy, but it's a slower energy.
Okay, I got a little something to tell you about that.
What?
So, as you know, I went to Europe this summer and then went to the Monroe Institute. And before that, I was supposed to go and see the Hope Diamond and recalibrate it beforehand. Well, Virgin Air, nobody fly Virgin Air. What a mess of an airline. Oh my God, it was so horrible, horrible. And then to try to get anyone on the phone, they canceled our flights twice. And then while I was in the air on my way from Heathrow to JFK, trying to get to Washington, they canceled our flight again while I'm in the air, and then had me flying to JFK, really quickly grab my luggage, and then they flew me out of LaGuardia, and I had to pay for a cab and everything. Oh, it was a mess. So for anybody who has had that, good news, good news. There is absolute compensation for these incompetent airlines, and it's international. It's not just Canada, it's not just the US, it is international. So their penalty, I just settled with them. They are paying me 2,500 British pounds. So it's a lot of money in Canadian.
That's like $3,000 American or something like that. That's a good amount of compensation.
So it's very good. I'm okay that they messed me up, but it's literally because I had to cancel 2 nights in a hotel because they couldn't get me out, so they had to cover the hotel. Plus they had to cover, like, for example, I even had to pay for my own luggage because they were switching me from a Virgin airline and flying me out on LaGuardia on a Delta. So Delta charged me for my luggage. Like, it was the most insane incompetence I've ever seen. But just go after the compensation, you guys, because they can't keep screwing us around like this. So I'm getting a big payout for my hassle and for everything that had to be canceled and moved around because of their flight changes. So just remember that, because if they delay you from your destination by over 7 hours, they have to pay you a lot of money. So I think it's even after 4 hours, you get a certain amount. And then after 7 hours, you get another amount. So needless to say, I'm okay with my payout, but the only reason why they're doing that was because I had to push for the compensation. And whenever you're flying, you guys, keep all of your receipts always, because you have to have every receipt, including the taxi receipt, in order to prove to them, okay, this was because of you. So anyways, I'm okay with it, but it's government legislation now, worldwide government legislation, that they can't do this to us. So just remember,
you had to push for this.
Oh yeah.
What they count on is people go, I'm here now, I'm not going to mess with it, I'm tired of this nonsense.
It's worth it.
And they just keep it. But as you said, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a good amount of money.
And because my ticket was booked in British pounds, that's the currency they have to pay me. So yeah, because it was booked out in England. So anyways, just remember that. A question for you. So that all happened at the end of August. Was there some funky energy with travel there too? Because it literally felt like everything was trying to stop me from getting to that Hope Diamond. And for anyone who doesn't know my story on that, there's lots of videos about it on YouTube. I even went live right from the Hope Diamond. It was in my family. It's part of our heritage. And it was one thing my mother never got a chance to see in her lifetime. So I made it my mission to go see it and recalibrate it, because for anyone who doesn't know, there's supposed to be this long-standing curse on the Hope Diamond. And it definitely felt like there was something on it. Like when I went there, I could feel the severe program of it, the blood, this energy. Like, I don't know how to necessarily describe it, but there was definitely some sort of program that was in that stone. So I've learned through quantum healing how to recalibrate the energy of a room, a place, a diamond, jewelry. I know how to transmute it and reprogram it. So that's what I did for the Hope Diamond. But getting there, it was, I called it my Goonie adventure, the curse of the Hope Diamond, my Goonies adventure, because I literally to, I had to ask one of the guys at the Monroe Institute if he would drive me there because I was supposed to get on the train and then back on a plane back to Canada. And he did. We did this whirlwind adventure where he took us there to go do that and then showed us all around DC and then dropped us off really quick at the airplane. So everything worked out perfect the way I guess it was supposed to. But at the same time, it definitely felt like there was a force trying to prevent us from getting there, for sure.
Well, at the end of August, Mercury was still retrograde.
Okay.
And we tend to not like it, but Mercury is retrograde
Yeah.
because Mercury is about our movement. It is about travel plans. It is about getting literally from one place to another place. Because it
Gotcha.
is about our communication, there could be miscommunications. Nobody told you have to keep your receipts, or oh, they gave you the wrong gate, or miscommunication kind of things.
Yeah.
During that time in August when Mercury was retrograde, I was going to New York with my sister, and we were sitting in the airline at the gate, my ticket had, and I'm looking around, I'm like, this plane is supposed to take off in 30 minutes. Why aren't they loading? Why isn't anybody moving? So I go up to that big board they have showing all the departures, and they had moved the gate and into a different terminal. And I'm like, oh my God, we gotta move. So they put one
Yeah.
gate on my ticket, changed it, of course, never informed us. And we're hightailing it over there.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked out fine, but it's annoying. It didn't
Yeah.
destroy our life. It didn't
Yeah.
have a major, stop it. It's annoying.
Yeah.
That's why people tend to not like Mercury retrograde. It messes up their appointments. It makes travel a little bit more stressful, and it's already can be a bit stressful. So
Mhm.
people tend to not like it. Gets a bad rap. So when we're traveling with Mercury retrograde, you have to kind of keep checking things. You have to allow extra time. Don't put your connections close to each other. That's a no-no when Mercury is retrograde. You're probably going to miss one of those. So we just adapt to it. We do what we're going to do. You got to Washington, you worked at the Hope Diamond, you do what you're going to do.
Good. Yeah.
It just may take us a while. Just may take us a while. I
So,
know we're almost out of time, but I want to mention one more thing while we still have time. Is that I said there were two planets changing, and the first one is Jupiter, which is going to slow down. But the second change is Pluto. And this one I like much better because Pluto has been retrograde for a while. And retrograde just means moving backwards for people who might not know. Planets don't really change direction, but from the point of Earth, maybe looking up at the sky, it looks like it's going backwards. So that's how we refer to it. So Pluto was in Aquarius. It has retrograded back for the last couple of months into Capricorn. Now, on the 12th of October, it moves direct again. It's still in Capricorn, but it's starting to move forward, and it moves back into where it belongs in Aquarius in November. So power, and I think we may see this especially with this election in the US, and you may see it in Canada, power plays that were underneath and hidden start to come to light
yeah.
because Pluto is all about power. Things that were shady, things that were in the shade and hidden start to become more direct.
Yeah.
And so we start to see them more. This is not limited to politics. This is business. This
HollyWeird.
is, religion, education, it affects everything in every part of life. So
Mhm.
you may see some changes in your company. You may see your boss change or a policy change. You may yourself start to feel stronger. You may start to feel like you're moving into your own power. And so it's not a bad energy, but it becomes the question of how do you own power? How do you use power? Because we have seen with P-Diddy and other big, well-known people achieving wealth and fame and what have you, they don't always handle it well. They think the rules don't apply to them. They can do anything, get away with it, because who's going to stop me? I'm, Mr. and Ms. Big Shot over here. It's an abuse of power and it's ego. So as Pluto starts to move forward again, we start to question, where do we need more power in our lives? Are we afraid to start our own business? Do we just keep deferring to our spouse because we don't want an argument? Where do we abdicate power that we should hold? Where might we be holding too many? We might have a my way or the highway kind of attitude. Well, my way is better, and your way may be better, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be the best way to do it if everybody doesn't agree on it. So you may need to bring other people on board. You may start to hear comments about, well, who died or made you God, kind of thing. And you're like, what? That's being nice. So Pluto is a force. It is a strength. And we're going to start to see more and more with this P-Diddy situation, with politics, with everything, start to come up to the surface. It's going to come up. And one of the things I see next year, especially for the United States, I don't know, maybe in Canada as well, because this is definitely Pluto and Aquarius, but we're going to start to see aspects of our government that have been hidden from view start to come out. They were doing what? I voted for that person. How could they be doing that? They were in the pay of who? Like, we're going to see all these backroom deals, sneaky things, underhand stuff. It's going to start coming up in 2025. And it's going to start as a trickle. Little bit here, little bit there. And it's just going to keep gaining power, gaining momentum, gaining more and more. It begins next year, but it continues all of 2025, all of 2026. I haven't looked after 2026 because I don't want to know.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I'm fine with what I got. I'll be surprised,
Well, I truly believe the light has already won, and we just are playing out being the characters in the story, but the book's already been written. So we're here for it. We gotta be here for the show. And I just think we need to kind of sit back, grab our popcorn, and watch it all go down, because it's like I said, this is next level Hollywood that we're going to be seeing with all of these celebrities that are now signing up for this kind of Hollywood with P. Diddy and everything. But I think even in politics, you're right. Like it just seems like whenever there's an election, that's when all of the dirt on all the politicians seems to be waved in your face. And it's like, oh my God, so yeah, we're probably going to see a lot more backstabbing and dirt throwing. And, it's not going to be pretty.
It's awful.
But guess what? We still have a choice to turn it off.
Yes.
Turn it off, go run the bath, and grab a nice book and call it a day. Because at the end of the day, we do have the choice not to feed into it. So unfortunately, we are up for time. And one thing that keeps coming to mind as we're talking, we are going to have a very special class, Susan and I, for predictions for 2026. You and I need to get together, pick that date, and we're going to do it as a class. We are going to do it as a class, because that way we can answer your questions, we can interact with you guys. And so just keep your eyes open for that class, because that's going to be an awesome one that Susan and I are going to do together. And we will probably announce the date here pretty quick, as soon as we pick one. But I thank you, Susan, so much. I love doing this with you, because you're bang on, and I love it. I love it. I love seeing how astrology and remote viewing can go hand in hand, and the different methods on bringing in the information is just amazing. So thank you again, Susan, for joining me for our monthly collab.
My pleasure. I just finished the predictions for all 12 signs for the month of October. So I just sent them to my web person, and they should either be on there or on there tomorrow. So check and see. My website is www.exploreastrology.com. It's free. I put out free predictions for every sign. And I put out the sign of the month, which is Libra. So yes, I love how we don't talk about this beforehand. We're both busy. We make our time to meet, and we just say whatever is on our mind, but it always seems to mesh right. We always seem to get there from a different place, but we get to the same place. So I love that. Yeah.
And I will say, I did do a private session with Susan, and she was amazing. So she does do one-on-one sessions as well. And so do I. My website is www.patriciamona.com. I also teach meditations. So check out all of my meditations and classes, psychic development classes and meditations on my website. And I think that's about it. Hey,
We'll keep you posted about our class, and we'll see you next month.
we will see you guys next month. God bless. Take care. And we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.